Can somebody please explain to me why this took me 3 months to learn, but this took me 32 days? Or why I can do this, but this is still a real challenge for me? Calisthenics skills sometimes make so little sense that I legitimately get comments on this channel from people saying that I am faking not being able to do them. And with bodyweight skills being a goal for so many of us, I wanted to dive into why some skills take longer to learn than others. And I think a great place to start is around discipline. We're assuming here when we compare skills that we're putting in regular energy into attaining them. Skills will be learned faster the more we train them, to a point. Take handstands for example. We are literally reorienting how we hold ourselves up, so attempting 2 or 3 kick-ups just twice a week at the end of every session is a very lazy effort. I'm not going to spend too long on the idea of discipline though. By virtue of you guys watching this video, I'm going to make the assumption that you're already quite disciplined and want to learn more. So I'll dive straight into the next reason, which is to do with the perception of difficulty. One thing we need to understand is that outside the more prototypical bodyweight exercises, people haven't really heard or seen many calisthenics skills before. In the worst cases, they have absolutely no idea how difficult a skill is, and in the best case, they try to compare the calisthenics skill that they're seeing with any movement that they already know. This, I think, is why so many gym bros think muscle-ups are so much harder than levers, because in their mind, a muscle-up, essentially an advanced pull-up, surely can't be harder than a planche, which they might see as some weird plank. Here's sort of that toxic internal monologue that we have whenever we see someone doing something and we go, that can't be that hard. And this is probably compounded even more by the fact that many calisthenics athletes typically don't look like they should be able to insult gravity like this. This gross oversimplification can then lead us to not understanding the difference between what looks hard and what is actually hard. And it's this realignment of what's actually challenging that can lead us to having warped views on how long it should take to learn skills. We also have our own natural biases that will influence our ability to pick up a new skill. Some people are stronger at pushing than they are pulling. Some people are better at straight arm skills versus bent arm, and some are better suited to static versus power-based movements. This skewing of one element of fitness over another can be a benefit at times, but if we aren't careful, it can also lead to quite strange outcomes. We naturally gravitate to what we're good at, and so by virtue of doing that thing more, we will naturally become better at it, and so the snowball rolls. If we deprioritize or even neglect other elements of our goals because we aren't seeing the same progress, it's no wonder why it will take us longer to achieve them. Skill stacking in training is something I want to talk about here too, because this is related to one of the biggest mistakes I see in beginner and intermediate calisthenics training, and is best explained with an example. If you build towards a strong pull-up, you will likely see outsized gains in one-arm pull-ups, front levers, and muscle-up. Similarly, working on most forms of handstand pressing will benefit the handstand push-up and even the planche. This is one of the biggest benefits of refining your goals and comes down to the free gains principle, the idea that we reap indirect benefits from direct and specific training, which means that by working on perhaps more beginner skills, we can ladder up to higher tier goals, which will then keep us more motivated to train hard as opposed to slugging it all the way from beginner straight to an advanced skill. Another thing we need to consider when comparing how long it takes us to learn some calisthenics skills versus others is how deep the rabbit hole is for that particular skill. How long it takes to learn something is always going to be defined by our ability to understand when we've actually learned it. For example, I'd argue that if you can back lever, that's pretty much it, and you can call job done and get on with your life. Handstands, however, are a whole realm of fitness in its own right, and you can go to anyone who's learned to planche or one-arm handstand to tell you about how deep the hand balance rabbit hole goes. In this example, we could probably argue that it takes longer to master handstands, because what would constitute a handstand master will be a far higher tier of athlete than a back lever master. Crowd, it can be really frustrating when we feel we should be able to do something, are working towards that thing, but it just isn't clicking. And there are things that we can do to push our progress forward, but I did want to make this video to let you know that if you aren't progressing, this is not just you, and most people working towards these skills would have had to grind through some element of hardship, so don't be disheartened. But if you want to check out any of the hurdles that I've crossed to learn any of the skills that I've done so far on this channel, then check out this video right here.